This is WMNF Tampa. You're listening to Live Music Showcase here on 88.5. I'm your host, Ken Apperson. We do this show live every week, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. We are so happy to have you guys here today. The band is Kind Villain. The music is awesome. The vibe is fresh. And I love the music. I can't wait to hear you guys play a little bit of your music. We're going to have them perform. We're going to dig into their history, where they come from, their music, where their inspiration lies, and maybe even find a few secrets about how to do it yourself if you're an aspiring musician out there. That's what I really love to do. That's kind of like the meat and potatoes of my personal goals when it comes to this show. I want to provide a source of, inspiration and information for the musicians out there, because this Tampa Bay music scene, man, we got a lot of them. We got a lot of musicians, and we want to see them all succeed. You guys seem to have figured out the formula. I really can't wait to dig into who you are and where you come from. How you guys doing today?
We're doing awesome. Thank you for having us on the show.
Man, all right. So, Kind Villain, how would you describe your music real quick? What would you call it?
You know what's funny? We had a hard time describing it, but we call it next gen pop rock.
Next gen pop rock with the quotes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the title we call it. It's not pop, but it's not full on rock. It's somewhere in the middle, and that's where influence comes from. So
I love that. You can listen to the show live on your radio. If you're listening to it right now on your radio, in your car, wherever you are, thank you so much for listening to us live. You can also listen to it live at WMNF.org. You can watch this show live. We have a live stream right now, full production, huge, beautiful production. Very excited about that. And you can watch that on Facebook at WMNF's Live Music Showcase. Go on there, give us a follow, give us a like, and make sure you hit that notifications button to know when we go live, and check out every band as they come in every week. I'd love to hear a song from you guys.
Let's do it. This one's called Heat of the Moment. Run to you, in the heat of the run to you, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the moment, run to you, in the heat of the moment. Look at me, I find it hard to believe, yeah girl, you're out of my league, you'll spin me around like nothing, oh, give it in, I don't know where to begin, but just the scent of your skin can fix me up when I'm no bueno. And I feel safe inside, so whole and satisfied. I could just say it in your eyes. When you know I run to you to get me high. When I'm bored I run to you to kill some time. When the monsters come at night, I run to you to hide. I run to you, in the heat of the run to you. The moment, in the heat of the moment, run to you. In the heat of the moment, I run to you. Look at me, I'm a puppet hanging on a string, but girl, I don't even think. So when you hold me, just don't let go. Give it in. I don't know where to begin, but just the touch of your skin can fix me up when I'm no bueno. No, I run to you to get me high. When I'm bored, I run to you to kill some time. When the monsters come at night, I run to you to hide. I run to you, in the heat of the moment. To hide, I run to you, in the heat of the run to you, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of the moment, run to you, when I'm low you get me high, when I'm low you Yeah, girl, you're out of my league. So when you hold me, just don't let go.
Killer.
Thank you,
Kind
man.
Villain on Live Music Showcase here on 88.5. Yeah, a lot of energy right out the gate.
Thank you so much. And one thing I will say, that song's called Heat of the Moment. If you're a Kind Villain fan, you just heard the new song before it came out. So.
Oh man, world premiere.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler
Mark
alert.
it mark it on the. Yep, we got to mark that. That's
There
a
you
world
go.
premiere right there.
Yeah, it's coming out in February, and the video's coming out in March.
See, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I want to use this show for. You
Yeah.
know, like all of our listeners, you know, we're really hoping that, you know, obviously we hope that they become fans of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys seem to have figured out how to kind of market yourselves pretty effectively. You've done some pretty big shows. You did that Battle of the Bands at the Hard Rock, for example. You were just telling me before you've played Strawberry Fest with your former band. And I really want to learn a little bit about how you guys formed this band and really what it took to bring it from. I always find it interesting to find out what it takes to bring a band from being just like, garage band fun with our buddies to getting signed to an indie A&R label like you guys have, for example. So let's start there real quick. How did you guys come to be a band?
So what happened was it all started right before the pandemic. I was playing the Strawberry Festival with my old band, like you mentioned. And we were playing, and I think it was like March 2nd or 3rd. It was like a Monday or Tuesday. It's kind of like a weird day. You wouldn't expect it to be this big grand thing. But we went and played there, and in the audience, the crowd loved it. We had a really fun show. I went around and did all my craziness, jumped around everywhere and stuff. And in the crowd was Bill Ray, and he's the president of Panacea Records, which is an indie A&R label. They are most famous for discovering country singer Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
And they did Star Set. They also worked with the All American Rejects. They worked with a bunch of really cool people. He approached me and said, "You know what, man? You got that fire. You've got that energy." He goes, "I want to bring you in the studio with my producers. Let's see what we can do with this." And the band I had at the time, we were just kind of doing it for fun. They went off. They wanted to go to college, and I wanted to pursue it.
Sure.
And John's from Delaware, and him and I had kind of been playing the same circuits and stuff. And when he heard the music, before I even told him the situation, showed him the songs, and he goes, "I want to do this."
It's like, I'm sold.
Yeah, which was really cool. And then Josh is from Indiana. And once again, he's kind of played the circuit. We've kind of all played like Hooch and Hive, stuff like that, all around. And he just loved the music, and he dug it. And he said, "You know what? I want to come in. I want to push this." And that's where we are today.
That's pretty cool. So you're saying that basically you got into a label situation before the band itself was actually formed. Is that what you're saying?
So it was kind of weird. At the same time that I met the label president, I had kind of been jamming with the band, just sort of like on the side. So like a fun thing. It was on the side project. And then when my other band members, I love those guys. Those guys are awesome. They went and decided, they wanted to go to college. They wanted to not pursue it. And I said, "Hey guys, I knew John, for example. I knew Josh, and I had already been jamming with John a little bit. And I said, "You know what? You guys want to do this?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then I brought him in. And then I said, "You know what? I think Josh would be a good guy." I brought Josh in. And
So essentially, this group has been together since the pandemic started or finished. Like, were you guys like, all right, we're a band, and then the pandemic hit, and you were like, oh, we're gonna hit the brakes a little bit, or was it more like, okay, the pandemic hit, now we have time to sit and write? And
that's pretty much
go into the chrysalis of a lot of
pretty much what happened,
creativity.
because we had done cover bands for years. He had done 4-hour shows. I've done 4 hours.
Sure.
He's done 4 hours. And in the pandemic, we were kind of like, you know what? Let's just sit down and let's just figure out. Let's just raise the bar, because that's the way I feel. And I know you were thinking about asking the question, how do you go from a garage band to getting signed to an indie label, whatever.
Sure.
You just got to continue to raise the bar.
Just
and
keep
the one
going.
thing I will say, be who you are. Embrace everything, even your weaknesses, because you know what? When you go out there and you're you, and you just keep raising the bar on what you is capable of, or what you're capable of, that's how you get better, and that's how you grow, and that's what we've done.
I love that, and I want to talk a little bit about like what the experience is like on the other side of the fence as a band who's you're signed. You've the dream has been realized for most
crazy.
bands. They spend their entire careers trying to hit that level. So you've hit that level. I want to give a little bit of insight to the listeners about like what that's like now that you're part of that club. But before we do that, I would love to hear another song.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Awesome.
This next song was actually the song that put us on the map. It got 200,000 views on YouTube. This one's called 18.
the highway. Take away all the stress off my shoulders. I'm gonna have a good day. Could it be 'cause I'm 18 and I still live with my parents? How can I like yours? Well, yours are more understanding. I've never felt enough. I saved those feelings for you. So let's do all the stupid things the young kids do. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa, 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 oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, let's do all the stupid things the young kids do. No, I've never really been the smartest. Yeah, I made my mistakes. My mistakes. You out there when times were at their darkest, always showing me the way. Lead the way. All love seems to guide me to the sharpest. You're always down the bottom me. The bottom is losing you has always been the hardest. I wish it were the old days. The year when I was 18 and I still live with my parents out there like yours. Well, yours were more understanding. I've never felt enough. Save those feelings for you when we did all the stupid things the young kids do. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, let's do all the stupid things the young kids do. Just me and you. Just me and you, Tampa Bay. Just me and you. Yeah. Just me and you. Because I'm 18 and I still live with my parents out there like yours. Well, yours were more understanding. I never felt enough. Save those feelings for you when we did all the stupid things the young kids do. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, we did all the stupid things the young kids do. It's me and you. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, oh. Whoa, so let's do all the stupid things the young kids do. Yeah.
You're listening to Live Music Showcase. Kind Villain live in studio today. Man, it's nice to have a band in here with some drums. How you feeling in there?
Feeling great, thank you.
Love it, love it.
Great.
We have a full band in here today. Planning to have quite a few more of those coming up here in the future. If you're listening to the show right now, thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to the show in the future on podcast form or on the archives right now, thanks so much. If you're not, you can listen to the show anytime, anywhere, however you want to listen to it as far as podcasts go. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Just search Live Music Showcase and you'll find us. Yeah. So let's dive into a little bit of what it's like being part of the big show. That is being a band who worked your asses off, and now you are signed, and now you are hopefully doing all of the things that bands hope to do when they're signed. Is it everything you hoped it would be?
So far, it really has been. It's a little different, like what you pictured initially.
Yeah,
but it's been pretty similar. You know, like for example, studio sessions till 2 a.m. Definitely. Just kind of coming up with all these crazy ideas. Just the way the shows are. It has been very similar. And the one thing I will say is that when you make the jump from a local cover band to what we're doing now, it's similar but different. Like it's kind of weird. So like,
how is it different?
It's different because, like, for example, the reactions are just crazy. Like, when you're a cover band,
your crowd reactions. You mean?
Yeah. Like when you're a cover band, you're like, oh yeah, people like this version of Freebird we're doing, or Sweet Home Alabama or something. And then you go and you play, your songs live, and people are going crazy for your songs. And you're just like, it just hits you different. We played a show. Yeah, it's much more rewarding indeed. We played a show at Union Hall in July, and I didn't know. I'm not from Lakeland. I know a couple people from Lakeland. I was kind of like, yeah, there'll be, a couple people there, whatever. There ended up being close to 200 people there.
Turns out you have a big following in Lakeland.
Yes, didn't know that. And there's 200 people there, and we went out. We played like 18, for example. That was the first song that was out at the time.
Sure.
And they were just all singing it and jumping around. I'm like, wow, this is pretty. Because when you're in a cover band, or even when you're in a band before that, you don't usually like. you're not used to that. You're not
Yeah.
used to like, wow, these are our songs. They're coming to listen to our songs, not our versions of covers. But
Yeah.
no, it's been it's similar but different. It's the skills that you pick up being a local musician. It's basically just that on steroids.
Yeah.
And then like playing like we're playing the Floridian Social tomorrow, advertisement.
Yeah.
But so it's similar to playing like a normal show, but at the same time, the mindset you have to go in is a little bit more not intense but focused. You got to be.
I was gonna say they're
ready to go.
with the fact that like you guys are playing your own material
Mm-hmm.
and you're actually attracting that level of a crowd at a show. With that, kind of glory, there must be also a lot of pressure.
Definitely. I think
Yeah?
the thing for me that's felt the most different about being involved with a label is, the way you kind of described it is how I felt too. You want so badly to get to this point. You say, if I can get signed, if we can do whatever we have to do to get there.
That's it.
That's it,
Yeah,
right? And
we're
if it's a
good.
finish line, you get there and you say, all right, cool, I'm done. And for me, at least, when I got there, it feels like day one. It literally feels like you are just starting over. You are showing up first day. And so you better be ready to work.
You've just unlocked. Essentially, you're not at the end of the game. You've just unlocked the next level.
You just beat the tutorial.
You
basically,
you
yeah.
The free demo trial is done. Now you pay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy, actually. Yeah.
I like that a lot. So when it comes to like the label and everything, do you guys find that you have to compromise your creative integrity? Because that's always a big question from outside looking in.
The one thing is not really. So
No?
when it comes to style, when I initially met them, I kind of go, this was the style we were going for, and they've been really cool. Now I will say this: they do know what they're doing.
Sure.
There's some areas that nobody knows what they're doing, and you're still figuring stuff out. But most of the areas they know what they're doing. And what's really interesting is that like there are some ideas will come up to you and say, hey, you know what? Let's change this line to this because then we can market this. They have good ideas, but to be honest with you, we've been very lucky so far with this group. We have the same vision in mind. It's not like that for all labels and artists.
Sure.
But for us, we have very similar vision, and sometimes we'll have different ideas and we'll disagree. But for the most part, we're pretty much on the same page, which has been a blessing.
Speaking of disagreeing and all that stuff, I always find it interesting to hear the band dynamic as far as like, because there are bands out there that in order to settle their differences they'll just have a fist fight. That's a real thing. It really happens. A good friend of mine used to tour with a band, and that was really their shtick, and it was real. It wasn't like, oh, we'll just punch each other and that'll sell tickets. It was like, no, we hate each other, but this is our life, so we're doing it.
I know people that do that.
Yeah, it's a real
yeah.
thing. So but I want to dive into that a little bit, but first I want to hear another song.
Cool. All right, this next one is called Bulletproof. I can't be shot down. Doesn't like me when you're around. Feeling superhuman. Save your ammo. It's no use. I'm bulletproof. I'm bulletproof. Yeah. Yeah. Sweat starts pouring down my face. I panic looking for a getaway. Your touch can't take that all away. You do that thing that you do. Oh! Walk up on stage and I'm feeling okay. The crowd's going wild as the demons all fade. You're all I need and that's it. I wear your love like a jacket. Can't be shot down. Touching like Neo when you're around. Feeling superhuman. Save your ammo. It's no use. I'm bulletproof. Raise the down. God doesn't bother me. I'm down. Lord, they can bring it on. Cause you're my armor. They can't get through. I'm bulletproof. Alright, Tampa, let's rock and roll. I got the feelings partying in the dark. You make me iron like Tony Stark. But the force field fades when we're apart. Yeah, I'm coming over now. The pain keeps on coming, but it never lasts. She's got my heart locked up inside plexiglass. You're all I want is that's it. I wear your love like a jacket. Can't be shot down. Nothing like me when you're around. Feeling superhuman. Save your ammo. It's no use. I'm bulletproof. Raise the down. God doesn't bother me. I'm top. Lord, they can bring it on. Cause you're my armor. They can't get through. I'm bulletproof. Bulletproof.
yo, when you're around, feeling superhuman. All I need, and that's it. I only love like a jacket, raise the dial. God, doesn't bother me, I'm tired. Lord, they can bring it on, 'cause you're my armor, they can't get through. I'm bulletproof, bulletproof. You're my armor, they can't get through. I'm bulletproof, bulletproof. I'm bulletproof.
I wear your love like a jacket.
Bulletproof.
Like a jacket.
I wear your love like a jacket.
Kind Villain in studio with us today, live music showcase. I'm your host, Ken Apperson. So we're talking today with these guys. We're hearing their awesome music. They definitely have their sound figured out. I love seeing a band who has their technical rig figured out. I won't dive into it too much because I know that's not the
That's
most.
this guy right here.
We're trying.
I love it. Yeah, you guys you're running in-ear monitors. You're running wireless systems. You're running a click track. What's really funny to me? I remember when there was a stigma against running click tracks, and frankly, now it's different. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
If you're not super serious, if you're not running click tracks with your band, with your drummer, I'm sure the drummer loves it.
Oh yeah, thanks.
He's in the, yes, finally a band I can play with. Who can, yeah. So as far as the band dynamic goes, one, who's doing the most when it comes to the writing?
Well, hang on one second.
Yeah.
That is actually, we have a producer named Paul Trust. We
Okay.
also have a producer named Serge Sanchez in Nashville. I love Serge. Thank you so much, brother, for helping me out in the beginning. Him and I usually kind of bounce ideas off of each other. And
Okay.
Paul is an absolute genius when it comes to writing ideas
Sure.
and stuff. And I kind of come in with a unique sort of creative energy and approach. And so what happens is I'll bring him an idea or he'll bring me an idea and we'll collaborate and kind of send ideas back and forth. And he knows, because he's a producer, he's worked with Sony, Warner, Universal, all these
Sure.
people. So he will take the idea and that creative energy and be like, okay, let's move it in this direction. And you
Sure.
can kind of follow him. So usually what happens is him and I spark the ideas, and then I bring it to John, and I bring it to Josh, because these guys are great artists as well. And we just kind of take it from there.
I love that. Okay, so you're basically telling me that you're in a situation where the core of the writing happens between you and maybe a producer to kind of write this material. That is one of the things that I think needs a little bit more attention in a positive way, because for decades, this is nothing new. And even more so, like, for example, the Hives, right? We know the Hives, the band The Hives, click, click, boom, and tick, tick, boom, and et cetera, et cetera. They didn't write a single one of their songs. All of their music was written by their manager. Now, does that make them less than? No, absolutely not.
No.
A band that is willing to collaborate,
Yeah, that's the way we do it.
and if the goal is to write good music, then you want to achieve that goal however you can.
Yeah, exactly.
If the goal is to write music that's not only going to be compelling, but is going to be deeply meaningful for the people that you want to reach,
Yeah.
then you reach that goal however you can.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all there is to it. So good on you guys for doing that.
Yeah, I think it takes a certain sense of self-awareness. To be
Yeah.
successful, you have to kind of know what your strengths are. You have to know what you bring to the table. And,
Totally.
And so that level of self-awareness goes to the song as well. We say, who has the best idea? What is going to make this best product here?
See,
that-
yeah, go ahead.
Feeds into the dynamic of the band, making it easier for us to collaborate and communicate, because we do know our place, and leaving ego at the door and everything. But that on top of it makes things really smooth. We can come into a radio show, boom, crush it.
Yeah, so leaving your ego at the door. So are you guys successful at that all the time?
We try to
Po
be.
buddies,
Sudden hesitation.
I think so. All of us have kind of. I've been doing this since I was 13. John's been doing this for 7-8 years. Same with Josh. We're just, we're all about making the great music. And I know for me, like, when I come up with an idea, if I bring it to the producer or bring it to these guys, and they go, they come up with something better, then you definitely use that. We're kind of the point where we're actually naturally live performers. That's the thing we like to do. So
Sure.
we naturally like to write high energy music.
Sure.
So as long as the idea and song is high energy. Now, high energy doesn't have to mean jumping around. Like, it can be a soulful song, but it has some sort of energy to it.
Sure.
But we're able to kind of just collaborate very well. And, there are some times when, you might say, okay, is this idea better or is this one? But usually we'll ask, like, Bill, our label boss or something, kind of will bounce ideas. But we're pretty good with egos. We haven't had any issues yet. Knock on wood.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, knock on those guitars. Yeah, as the band gets bigger and more successful, one of you guys be like, "I'm going solo." It's always the drummer. No, I'm just kidding. It's literally never.
It
the
is
drummer.
Always the drummer.
Is it always the drummer?
I don't know. Or maybe
both.
it's the. Actually, I have no idea. Maybe it's the guitar.
I think it might be you, man. I don't
No,
know.
dude, I'm not.
I think it's the lead singer.
No,
thing.
dude.
Get scooped up.
Not right now.
That's the key. Yeah, bands are really just an Instagram account, and then the solo guy is just forming another Instagram account. And then the idea is
TikTok
that
account now,
it's
though.
a TikTok account exactly. And then
exactly.
you use one to promote the other, and that's
Yeah.
it's synergy. That's really what it is. It's synergy. The evil word in the creative world, and the happy word in the business world.
Yeah.
So last question, and then I do want to hear another song. But how do you decide what's good? How did you sit down and we're like, yeah, this song, or yeah, this melody, or these lyrics over these other lyrics? Like, how do you decide? What's your metric? What gives you your bearings
So
as writers?
it's kind of I remember a couple years ago I watched an interview with Billy Joe from Green Day when they were recording Dookie, and he was saying, and this is kind of the way we think, when they recorded Dookie, they just went in, you listen to it once, you know what, that sounds good, it's good, don't mess with it.
Don't mess with it.
If you listen to it, if you don't listen to it for 2 or 3 days and you walk in and you go, dang, that's pretty good, and then you go, oh, maybe I need to fix some stuff. No, you don't. If you go in there, now our producer Paul, he's a lot different. He's getting the little things perfect.
Sure.
And we love him for that. We do.
That's as a good producer should.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to lyrics, when it comes to ideas, another thing is, if you have an idea and you show it to multiple people, not people that are going to say yes to everything, but people that are going to tell you candidly. When I show it an idea that Paul and I came up with to these guys, and you show it to family, or you show it to people that not people that are going to say yes, people that are going to be honest with you. And a bunch of people like it for different reasons. They all like different types of music. You got a good idea. Like, for example, You're the Reason, which we're going to play in a little bit, and that was our latest video we put out. That song, when we wrote it, I have someone who listens to pop music. They loved it. Someone who listens to hip hop, they liked it. And then when the general thing is positive, you're always going to get one person that doesn't like something, but when the general consensus is, okay, people like this and they like a bunch of different stuff, and we like it because that's the most important thing, then okay, let's move forward with this.
Yeah, you have to like it yourselves before anybody else does, because otherwise, how do you convey that on stage without being an excellent actor, which apparently you have a little bit of background in? I love that. I want to hear a little bit more music from you guys. Coming up after this next song, I really want to hear about the show that you guys have going on tomorrow night at the Floridian, and what you guys kind of have planned. We won't give the whole thing away, obviously, but we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's hear another song.
All right, when you're ready, Josh. All right, Sample, let's rock and roll. Souls lost into the night. I need to know this moment isn't your goodbye. I see it burning in your eyes. You think that you're a freak and a sideshow, feel a little psycho, don't want anyone to know. Oh, out at all time though, driving with your eyes closed, feeling like you're gonna blow. It's not a melody, designed to make you. This is not a beat to get you late. I'm trying. This is not a church for all, filled with hate and vitriol. Yeah, I've got one of those coming soon. I'm still writing. This is just a flag to wave when you're not quite okay. Hey, not a love song, not a love song. It's a cry for help. Whoa. Now you're feeling low, even when you tell me that you really don't. I know how to get it, I hope you really want. I see it burning in your eyes. You think that you're a freak and a sideshow, feel a little psycho, don't want anyone to know. Out at all time low, driving with your eyes closed, feeling like you're gonna
oh. It's only, oh. This is not a melody designed to make you sing. This is not a beat to get you laid. I'll try, yeah. This is not a judge for all. Filled with hate and vitriol. Yeah, I'm not one of those coming soon. I feel right, yeah. This is just a black and white when you're not quite okay. Not a love song, not a love song. It's a cry. Oh, oh, oh. Hurting on the inside, living all same life. Oh, oh, oh. Got the strength to stand tall, even if the sky falls. This is not a melody designed to make you swoon. This is not a beat to get you laid. I'm trying, yeah. This is not a tempo filled with hate and vitriol. I've got one of those coming soon. I'm still right, yeah. This is just a flight to wait when you're not quite okay. This is not a love song, not a love. You're being fine, not a love song. This is a love song. This is why, oh hell, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Kind Villain in studio live here on Live Music Showcase. That's a cool song.
Thank you, man.
pretty
Hey,
cool song.
Mark, I'm going to swap out real quick.
Yeah, so
one
Kind
of our
Villain, you guys
favorites.
have a show coming up tomorrow night at the Floridian. You guys have, I would imagine, a nice little roster of shows coming up. You've got a new song coming out that we just heard at the top of the show. If you didn't get to hear that, if you're listening right now live and you didn't get to check it out at the archive, WMNF.org. You can listen to our show and every other show on this radio station in the archive anytime, anywhere that you want to. You can download the WMNF app. That's one of the easiest ways to listen to any show anywhere, anytime that you want to. Or you can listen to this show, Live Music Showcase, on any of the places where you normally find your podcasts. So Spotify, all those other ones. I like to leave my notifications on there so I know when I can listen to myself in podcast form. That's my favorite podcast personally. It's just
Hearing
listen.
the sound of your own voice, man.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I love to hear, right? Who wouldn't, exactly? No.
Yeah.
So the show at the Floridian tomorrow night, what do you have in store for the people that are going to be coming out to see you?
Well, to describe a Kind Villain show, it's unpredictable.
Okay.
It's
Dynamic.
interactive, dynamic, and I've got a couple surprises. If you've seen a Kind Villain show before, then you sort of know some of them, but some of them you're not prepared for. So we do. One of the things about our shows is obviously we're rehearsed. We kind of know what to do, but we improvise a lot live. So
Okay.
sometimes I'll bring people up on stage. Not lately because of COVID and stuff, but sometimes
Right.
I do, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Have fun in other ways.
Yeah, you have other ways. We interact with people. We get them chanting. We kind
Yeah.
of do. We do a lot of different things. Our shows, one of the things we love about them, and we mean this to ourselves too, they're sort of unpredictable.
Yeah.
We have a set list. We have it practiced, but when it comes to interaction, we always improvise, and we have some surprises, some costume changes, and some unique things for Floridian. Let me tell you, if you like high energy, dynamic, good shows, you're going to love it. It's going to be fun tomorrow.
See, sometimes he won't even tell us what he has planned. It's a surprise for us too on stage.
true. Yeah.
We have no idea.
What I do is I tell them, like, okay, during this song right here, I'm going to improvise. So I'll take off my bass. I don't have it here, but I have a megaphone that I use on stage
Yeah.
sometimes, and I'll kind of do all these different things. Sometimes I've done this thing before where I go on stage and I like go in the crowd and I sit crisscross applesauce and kind of sing with them and stuff. I do a lot of different stuff, and I like to surprise them too. We always kind of
Yeah.
mess with each other a little bit live.
Keep you
so.
guys on your toes.
Yeah.
Keeps it
Yes,
fresh
sir.
too.
Exactly. Yep.
So when it comes to like sitting down and planning out a live show, there's plenty of bands out there that they really don't do a lot of planning, and that works fine for them.
Yeah.
Not knocking that at all.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a fair amount of planning that goes into your shows. Improvisation.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
word.
there you go.
There it is. I got
Yeah.
it, Mark. I found it. That goes into your show. A lot of pre-planning and pre-production maybe that goes into your show. And honestly, I'm kind of at a point where, as far as like my taste in live music, and granted my standards are kind of high these days, maybe unfairly to some of the bands
all
out there.
good.
But
That's the way it should be.
I really love to see a band that takes the time to cultivate the experience that they're going to create for their audience there, beyond just, well, we wrote the songs, let's get up and throw on a t-shirt and play them. Now, like I said, that works fine for plenty of bands out there. That you know, there's that raw talent that they can just turn on, drop of a hat. Obviously, you guys have plenty of talent in that regard, and you'd probably be fine doing that. But why do you guys make the choice to do that, to take the time to curate your show?
Well, speaking of, improvising, kind of just going with the flow,
Yeah.
I actually used to do that in my old band. I
Yeah.
used to be notorious of like, okay, we have a list of songs, but you just pick them as we go.
Yeah.
But with this band,
Just
especially
plug and play.
exactly, you
basically.
look at the crowd and go, you know what, we're going to play this song right now. But with this band, we have a unique show and story and songs that we want to tell. And, there's certain songs of ours that, like in the beginning, we like to come out punching. So we like to open with stuff that, is going to catch people's attention because it's original songs. And some of them they know. So, like, for example, sorry if you're only here for the first 15 minutes of our show, but we usually put, like, our big songs near the end of the middle because then you got the build-up for that.
Sure.
And you kind of do that way you can kind of plan out because you know the reaction. You played shows, you go, okay, these people like this, so we're going to space it out. And you got the good length and good. Because when you improvise stuff, it can be good, but it also can be disorganized, understandably.
So what I'm hearing really is that you guys are I think the mantra really maybe of this band is self-awareness, being aware of how you're writing and how your writing is going to be received by a live audience, being aware of how you're going to respond and how you're going to express that music in terms of like higher energy, having fun with it, genuinely enjoying the music, enjoying yourselves, and then having awareness of each song and how it's being how it's being received by your audience and how you can tweak things to improve that and how it's being received. If it were up to me to define like artistry, for example, I think there's two criteria. One, you say something honest and real and maybe a little vulnerable.
Exactly.
And two, you figure out how to say that to as many people as need to hear it as possible. And it sounds like
Definitely.
you guys are trying to do that, trying to do both of those things.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's a level of self-respect, I think, honestly. We believe that what we have here is important and it deserves, that planning. It deserves that level of planning between, what song are we going into after this one? Are these a good fit? Is there going to be a clash there? Are we creating a good experience for the audience? The audience deserves that respect as well. Even if we are playing shows on a bit of a local level, that audience deserves A+ showmanship every single time. So whenever we come to these crossroads where like, should we dive into this? Should we think about this? Should we figure out this dance move? Should we tighten up on this hit a little bit more? The answer is always yes with this group.
And
Love
that's
that.
one of the reasons that I love Josh. Or John, you're John.
Don't
and
even
Josh,
know my
yeah.
name. You don't love me.
Two J's, I messed it up. Anyway, so that's why I like John and Josh is because, and I'm like this too. I've been like this ever since, I started performing. Give it 150%. Give it everything you have every single night.
Every
So
show.
the audience deserves your planning. The audience deserves your effort, whatever that is,
Yeah.
So like, for example, even when, when you're not feeling well and you're going to give everything you can every single time because audience deserves it. You deserve to, give the best show and, have people see you in a positive light. And the way that, it's a lot of confidence. You have to walk in with, what, I know I can do this. I know I can do a good job at this. And then, you have to make sure, okay, I'm going to give this audience the best show I possibly can every single time. And that involves planning. That involves effort. That involves everything.
See, I'm glad you mentioned confidence because I want to talk a little bit about that kind of confidence in maybe in a few minutes. But I'd love to hear another song.
Yeah. This one was actually the song we just put out the music video for. It got 200,000 in a little over a month. Thank you guys so much.
Very impressive.
This one's called You're the Reason I Need Pills to Sleep.
it comes as no surprise. You're really good at those goodbyes. I didn't see the one inside from the start. Disposable, a plastic heart, sweating under the sheets. I hope you don't forget it. Screaming, calling my name, and I can almost smell the ghost of you upon my skin. I lack the will to breathe it in. You're the reason that I'm in the dark. You're the reason that I'm falling apart. You're the reason that I lie awake at night. You're the reason that I'm on my knees. You're the reason I'm in therapy. You're the reason that I'm in too deep. You're the reason I need pills to sleep. Whoa, 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 whoa. Pills to sleep. Whoa, whoa. Keep our eyes on the floor. Remind the time we had before. You left the scene of the crime without a clue of misery. You put me through. Now you found someone new to give you some attention. You're just playing a role to ask her for the sex. A tragic bit, some beauty queen. The starting role, you'll play the same. You're the reason that I'm in the dark. You're the reason that I'm falling apart. You're the reason that I lie awake at night. You're the reason that I'm on my knees. You're the reason I'm in therapy. You're the reason that I'm in too deep. The reason I need bills to sleep. I'm trapped, I think you should know. My private hell won't let go. You're the reason that I'm in the dark. You're the reason that I'm falling apart. You're the reason that I lie awake at night. You're the reason that I'm on my knees. You're the reason I'm in therapy. You're the reason that I'm in too deep. The reason I need bills to sleep. Whoa, 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 bills to sleep. Whoa. You're the reason that I drink too much. You're the reason that I'm out of touch. You're the reason that I drink too much. Now it comes as no surprise.
Live music showcase here on 88.5. We're live in studio with Kind Villain. They have a show tomorrow night at the Floridian Social Club. Feel free to check it out. That venue is starting to become a bit of a mainstay over there in St. Petersburg,
Yeah.
formerly the State Theater. And when whoever bought it, they changed the name, and everybody was very unhappy about that. They were very unhappy about the name getting changed, about
Yeah.
its legacy, supposedly getting, washed away, so to speak.
Yeah,
All of that said, that room, from what I understand from the former State Theater, really hasn't changed a lot.
There's still a vibe.
Oh, hey, Mark, I'm going to switch out real quick.
They've
Just let you know.
they've updated a lot of the things that needed to be updated. They got a new sound system, all of that stuff. So before I dive into actually what I kind of had planned, do you need pills to sleep? Do you guys need pills to sleep?
I don't. No.
No, it's honestly, it's a story about somebody I know, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what you're going through. I recently went through a breakup, and
You did?
Yeah, I
You're a
did.
musician? You went through a breakup?
Yeah.
Never happens. We're so emotionally mature and well-adjusted. We're usually great at relationships.
Really easy to be in relationships with. The schedules work out
Our
great.
schedules are great.
No,
We're,
no,
we're
it wasn't.
never in situations
No, it
that
wasn't.
put us
It
in
wasn't.
questionable.
It wasn't even that. We have a lot of mutual respect for each
Sure,
other.
of course.
We've been together for 6 years, and
Oh, wow.
we just became different people. It's all good. I'm still friends with her. She's still friends with me, and so when it comes to writing songs, in the back of your head, obviously, you're really stressed out about a lot of this stuff, and for for You're the Reason, actually, another song called One More Night, it's kind of the same thing. You just sort of, there's people that have been through that situation. You kind of combined stories that you've seen and stories that, we've had. It's like it's like you're writing a novel or a story.
Sure. So let me play devil's advocate a little bit here. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't know. The style of music you guys are playing, whatever you call it, it's essentially like pop punk, right?
We'd like to think about it similar, but has its own sort of flavor.
It's a little newer.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit newer sound to it.
Yeah.
So devil's advocate, would you say that genre is up and coming right now?
Pop punk?
Yeah.
Jenner?
If we make it.
I like that.
Most
There's
definitely.
the confidence. I like
actually, no, I do believe it because what's really interesting is the fact that I actually think, unpopular opinion, I actually think punk rock has always been around. It's
True.
always, have different new things coming out, things change. But I mean, have you guys listened to Machine Gun Kelly lately? I mean, he's doing this punk stuff.
It's
Yeah,
true.
Avril Lavigne's making a comeback now, and I've gone to some of these shows, and I honestly don't think it ever left. I think
No.
you had people, doing different things because, be honest with you, music changes. Every once in a while, you make a type of music, you go away from it because you got to hear something a little different. And then, what? I remember this. Let's come back to it. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because we grew up on Green Day, Blink. I grew up on like even alternative bands like Linkin Park.
Sure.
So as you get older, your natural instinct is like, well, I want to, channel a little bit of that. And and that's what I think is happening to newer artists is that they grew up with it and they're like, yeah, I want to rechannel it, and then the cycle's just going to keep continuing over and over again.
That music, it kind of stood the test of time, amazingly, And when I say amazingly, I grew up on that stuff too. Those were the concerts I was going to. Those were the bands that I was, joining. Those were the songs that I was ripping my vocal cords to shreds over because I couldn't hold that vocal fry like you can in your
thank
top
you.
notes. So that's very impressive as a singer myself. So when it comes to the decision-making points when it comes to writing, was it ever a choice for you? Did you ever sit down and you were like, as the kind of like principal songwriter of the band, did you ever sit down and go, man, do I want to write this music or do I want to write something else?
What's interesting is I never really had that decision.
It was never really
It was just kind of a natural thing for me.
I'm just doing this.
I love performing. Another band that I'm sure people that listen to our music probably hear the influence is Queen.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love about, Queen and let's say Green Day, for example, or Paramore, they're obviously different types of music, but they've got that live energy, and I love that. I feed off the energy.
Truly.
So it's something, that it's just kind of a natural thing. It wasn't really something to think about. We're just making music and it's heading in that direction naturally.
I love that. So the moral of the story here is it doesn't matter what the world thinks of what you're doing as long as what you're doing matters to you. Because that's true artistic expression in whatever form it comes out.
Absolutely.
And if you are true to yourself and you have that real kind of confidence that we were talking about, then that is really what's going to connect with an audience. So with that in mind, we're coming up to the end of the show here. Once again, this is Live Music Showcase here on 88.5. We have a whole crew of people that work on this show. We have a whole team of people that work on this show. We have the biggest team, I think, of any show on this radio station. Our video director is Bob Hoke. Our camera person today is Marcy Connors. Marcy also helps out with makeup, set design, and setup. She's a joy to work with and a pleasure. I really appreciate you, Marcy. Thank you. Our sound mixer, the man, the wizard behind the faders, Mr. Mark Perfetti. Thank you, Mark, for doing what you do. Richard Stone is on video production. Our audio assistants today are Pamela Robinson, and Brian Van Fleet is over there on the board op. Thank you so much, Brian, for getting us out there on the airwaves. So if you guys would... Oh, and of course, Chandler, making sure that the photos that you find on our social media are up to snuff. Speaking of which, you can go follow us on Instagram at LMS_88.5 FM. So with that in mind, please, I would love it to take two. I'd love to hear you guys play us out with a song. If you
Hey,
don't
Josh,
mind.
let's do one more night. So speaking of vocal fry, we're going to play this song for you.
Love it. WMNF Tampa.
This is a brand new one. Hey!
you have the time. I'm so far from fine, so just don't say friends is what you think can give me time to let it sink and stop. Don't go, just wait, can't take the head. So let's sleep on it. Hey, I'll be alright if you could just stay with me for one more night. Hey, I'll be alright if you could just stay with me for one more night. Hey, I'll be alright if you could just stay with me for one more night. Hey, I'll be alright if you could just stay with me for one more night. Hey, I'll be alright if you could just stay with me for one more night. Hey, I'll be alright. Let's sleep our head. Hey, I'll be alright. Let's sleep our head. Hey, I'll be alright. I'll be alright. I'll be alright. Thank you. We are Con Villain.